Good evening, and welcome to my first ever poetry reading. For anyone not formally acquainted with me, my name is Catherine Epps, and I am, amongst other things, a writer and a poet living in Lanarkshire. I thought, given the lockdown situation, it might be a nice personal touch if I record a video of myself reading a small selection of my poetry. The first poem I'm going to read for you tonight is one which I wrote back in January, one night when I couldn't sleep. Lying awake, the first lines of the poem began to form in my head, and so I got up and started to write. And within a few minutes I had the completed poem, Recompense. A poem about how there can never be too much good in this world. How sometimes, when we consider the good deeds we ourselves have done, they seem to amount to very little compared with the good we have already received from others. Recompense. Once I stayed up all night, administering fluids to a dehydrated guinea pig. My brothers, it's fair to say. Said guinea pig lived another 5 years. I was the family vet back then. Guinea pig diagnostics, a speciality of mine. Once I bought lunch for a big issue seller, besides a copy of his wares. As a student, the money was intended for a more selfish purchase, but I knew where my next meal was coming from. He didn't. Once I helped a friend in need, emptied a sink full of putrid water, and cleared a whole host of plates and mugs, furry with age. We went for lunch. Then afterwards, other duties calling, I said goodbye, left her in her empty home, while I returned to mine. Once I mourned for a man I did not know, but who was known and loved by a friend of mine. Afterwards I held her, my heart breaking for her, my own tears falling with hers, crying for her loss, not my own. Once I cared for the sick. Once I fed the hungry. Once I helped someone in need. Once I comforted those in mourning. These few things I have done in remembrance of all of you, who I know have already, unfailingly, done the same for me. Recompense has been something of a turning point for me. Funnily enough, poetry isn't something I've ever really turned my hand to before, but Recompense has been the first of several poems that I've written over the last few months. The next poem I'm going to read tonight is a reworking of the Lord's Prayer, something which has been done before by other poets, often humorously in relation to alcohol. The subject matter of my poem is another thing entirely, the sacred art of play, something we are quick to forget when we reach adulthood, and then have to relearn when we find ourselves in the company of children once again. Teach us to play. Our child, who art at play, innocent be thy state. Thy imagination come, thy dreams be fulfilled, at home and in the world. Give us this day the chance to join in, forgiving us our ignorance and reluctance to enter fully into your games. Lead us not into the temptation to be busy, but deliver us from our distractions. Thine is the freedom, the enjoyment, and the wonder, for now and the whole of your childhood. O child, please teach us to play. The final poem I'm going to read tonight is a personal favourite of mine. It's one which I wrote very recently, just a few weeks ago, when I was going through a very difficult time in my life. The outbreak of COVID-19 in our country coincided with my husband breaking his hip and spending 9 days in hospital. I wrote this poem the day before he was released from hospital. It's really a list of things that I find comforting, interspersed with a joyful refrain. Hope is coming. Blue sky in a puddle. A baby's face creased with laughter. Warmth from the winter sun transcending the Arctic wind. Hope is coming. Solace found in a brimming teacup. Daffodils awakening from a bed of snow. Exchanging smiles with a passing stranger. Hope is coming. A church illuminated by candlelight. The rumble of a storm passing overhead. An owl hooting beyond canvas walls. Hope is coming. A cluster of stars blazing the blackest of nights. The satisfaction of a hard day's work well done. The blissful state between wakefulness and sleep. The blessing of a new day waiting in the dawn. Hope is coming. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It's taken a lot of courage on my part and encouragement from my husband to get me in front of the camera. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen and you'd like to see more, please let me know and I might try and do it again in the future. Please like the page if you haven't done so already. And thanks again for watching. Good evening to you all.